Hey guys, and welcome to Blockchain Unchained by ICONPLUS Capital. Today we're discussing the rapidly expanding and evolving landscape of NFTs. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, are the hottest craze of 2021. So hot that according to environmentalists, they are even affecting the Earth's climate. Pretty crazy. Now, NFTs are actually selling for millions all around the world, opening new revenue streams. The ways through artists and sellers and creators are all being able to monetize this business for the very first time. So we've seen Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. He actually sold his very first tweet as an NFT for $2.9 million. And then we saw Beeple. He made history when he sold his NFT titled Every Day is the First 5,000 Days for over $69.3 million. This is absolutely nuts. So right now, most NFTs are used in specific applications that require unique digital items like crypto collectibles, crypto art, and crypto gaming. But in the future, it's expected that they could be used to tokenize real world assets. And according to foresight company Layah Heilpern, NFTs are primed to become a leading emerging asset class for the virtual economy in the years ahead. So what is this NFT craze all about? Why are there concerns about the growing popularity? So today we're going to delve into all of this, and we have a great discussion about the future of NFTs. And joining me is Eleonore Blanc, our moderator and founder of Crypto Canal. I'm going to bring Eleonore on now. Eleonore, it's great to have you. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Layah. I'm so excited to start this conversation. We have amazing guests. NFTs are still hot. It's something that we have to discuss. And we have today, I think, a really unique panel discussion with people coming from the gaming industry, the music industry, and more. And I really want to take this conversation and take all these brains, basically, and see what NFTs are about and what they have been building and what's the future of NFTs, really. So I would like to introduce Marguerite de
Quick one before I bring everyone on. I do want to just quickly say that we do have 2 giveaways. So you have 2 chances to win $75 of ETH. All you have to do is like the live stream, retweet, and reply with hashtag IPC. ETH is down right now, so this is a great opportunity. So I'm really excited. Eleonore, go on, bring on our guests.
I'm happy that you brought the giveaway back as well. Yes. I think this is a unique kind of panel as well. People in the audience as well, please ask your questions in the tweet, interact with us. This is an opportunity really to talk to these people through us, to get to know them better. So please, let's introduce to the stage Marguerite de Courcelles, the one and only coin artist. She's an OG of the space, truly. A technologist, blockchain enthusiast. She's into gaming. She's done so much cool stuff through the past, like from puzzle, gaming, art pieces to everything in the cyberpunk space. So really, it's an honor to have you here, Marguerite. Hashtag coin artist, hashtag the whole coin cred community. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And the second panelist that we have today is Lee Parson, the one and only. He has a background from the music industry. I have gone through a bit of a rabbit hole on you, Lee. I'm sorry. Going back to your founding days at Ditto Music, all the way to what you've built with Blue Box and Opulous now. It's really interesting how you've managed to emerge from changing the music industry to now merging basically the crypto and the music industry together. So very welcome. I can't hear anything. And Lee hasn't heard his intro, so that's kind of sad, but it's okay.
Lee, you can't hear us.
Oh no.
Okay, well, Lee, while you sort that out, don't worry, Eleonore, bring on our next guest,
yes.
And we'll give Lee a second to sort it out.
Yes. Our next guest and our third panelist is Harsch Khandelwal. He's the CEO of UREEQA. This is a platform for creators to upload their content and have an NFT out of it. This is a platform for mainstream users. They don't really have to know about crypto right away. A lot of work happens in the background with validators and also protectors. It's a platform to maybe democratize NFTs for the world. So thank you, Harsch, for joining us on this panel today.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, let's see if we can get Lee back. That would be amazing. But you three have a very different perspective. And I think our audience will see as well that we've managed to have like a unique panel here with people basically from different corners of the industry showing basically how far we can stretch the concept of an NFT and how many use cases there are, right? It's not just a one formats type of technology. So Harsch, can you maybe tell us a bit more first of all, who you are, what you've been doing, what is Eureka?
Yeah, so I'm the CEO of Eureka, and historically, I've built and run several companies, both in tech and outside of tech. But Eureka, I'm especially excited about because I think we're working on protecting something that is the only thing that binds us together as people, creative works. We all love music, videos, etc. So we're building a platform to protect, manage, and monetize all creative works. I mean, music, videos, photos, digital works, physical works, books, anything that's creative, we want to protect, manage, and monetize it. An exciting and we didn't think about this side byproduct of what we do is we can bring trust to NFTs, so that buyers can purchase with confidence, and that established celebrities, brands, artists can keep their fans safe, because everything we do is responsibly minted off a master validated NFT that represents the creative rights to the underlying work, that image or that video of Kobe dunking. Our process tries to answer who created it, who owns it, is it original? No, the questions not enough people are asking right now. This NFT space has exploded like the Big Bang, and voids have been created as a result. One of those voids is trust, and at Eureka, we hope to fill that void.
Thank you. Marguerite, I know that your products are in the same field, but could you tell us a little bit more what you've been building? Tell us more a little bit about Coin Artist and maybe your background in the space and what you've added really to the NFT gaming world.
Sure. So my background goes back to 2014, creating crypto puzzles. I've always been interested in the creative technology, sort of how can creatives interact with basically blockchain technology. And as an artist, I've thought about this in ways like, how can I include educational purposes or just interesting, like if you have a hash, like just transactions, how can these fundamentals of blockchain be a part of a conversation on different mediums? And then also, how can we make them interactive? So that's been a path that I've walked since 2014. And then in 2018, we started the game company. The game company leverages NFTs as basically a tool and a new type of asset, which can carry information, data. And so in the game, it basically becomes something like a mini record of all of your different game assets and what they do in game. And they also have the ability to upgrade using smart contracts in really interesting, innovative ways. But also, one of my biggest visions is how are we inclusive? So what I've found over the years is that there are different blocks that users really just can't get over, like those little mini jumps, educational jumps, where you have 99% user drop off because it's just too hard. So how do we create a really wide funnel where people can just start interacting with an application, have no idea it's blockchain, it's NFTs, and then have those Eureka moments, using Eureka here, Eureka moments along the way to have an aha, oh, this is a blockchain asset. Oh, look at these magic tricks. Because for people that aren't familiar, that's what it feels like. It feels like magic tricks. Oh, I've never been able to do that before, and I'm trading this now across the internet. Yeah, so I guess like that's been one of my biggest visions, is unlocking the entire global economy into this new creator economy where everyone gets to participate, and we get beyond basically the walled gardens that we've created historically in basically every industry.
Yeah, thank you so much for this intro. And I think tying it all back to a community, and also how you're trying to push the boundaries of a community, basically all around using gaming and token economics and incentives to reach those Eureka moments, these steps as we progress, as we play. I think this is a very unique perspective that you've brought to the NFT space as well, and you've been doing it for a couple of years. So, because right now I think NFTs are discussed wildly. This is something that we all want to learn more about, but you've been doing this for a long time, and I see that you've built an interesting community regarding it's not about the coin itself. You've said this in the past, right? It's not about the price of the coin going up or down. You're really trying to use these NFTs as a social experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm not sure if you saw, but recently on Twitter, we wanted to experiment with a free airdrop using Polygon, which is arguably layer 2 or sidechain. And so anyways, we worked with a company called LinkDrop, and Twitter users, all they had to do was make a tweet, and then they had the ability to claim an NFT. And they didn't have to pay anything. And the entire campaign cost $1, and it was insane. Minted something like 2,000 NFTs. They verified being one of my 50,000 followers. And they all had then their first NFT, which was a commemorative to them as a follower as well. So, it tied back to their participation with me. Anyways, I just loved the fact that we're there now. Like, these little user experience pieces are all coming into place, where we can have these large social media campaigns that reach out beyond a DApp and pull in mainstream users. So what we found with that campaign were there was about 80% of the users were creating new wallets. And there was something like an 85% conversion rate for everyone that interacted with the tweet. So if you think about that metric, if you're in business, that's insane. So I'm very excited about how we're going to be able to play and bring in more people and show them the new medium.
I think that's fantastic. And indeed, I think like Harsch's platform as well, to sort of, it's not always about the tech. I will be asking questions about the tech later, but for the user, for the mainstream user jumping on board from the coin artist perspective as well, like it's they don't have to see all the tech right away. And same as for the UREEQA platform, it's not immediately about the tech, it's more about the experience. And what you're describing here with this airdrop on Twitter, I think it's a wonderful educational moment, a Eureka moment, but it's also this feeling of internet magic money, which is more than money, right? You're going one step further, basically, with what we can do with NFTs, basically. And I will be diving into more of the specifics of the token economics that you've built regarding sharded NFTs, which I think are very interesting. I just want to see, before I jump more into the conversation, I want to make sure that we can introduce Lee. Lee, can you hear us? Are you in?
I'm in, and I can hear you well. Thank you very much.
Yay. Please, Lee, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, from Ditto to Blue Box to Opulous. I think you have so much to share. So please.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'll try and make it fast because there's so many of us. I was previously a musician. I started a company in 2007 called Ditto. We put the first ever digital top 40 single into the charts in the world. It was 12 months before a major label had a digital top 40 single. I was still working in my bedroom with my brother at the time. And then we took that company from that model of helping people release and actually keep all the rights to their music into a global business with 500,000 users, 500,000 subscribers around the world. We've worked with everyone from Ed Sheeran to Sam Smith. Our biggest artist at the moment, I would say, is Chance the Rapper. We just had like a #2 on Billboard with Chance. And actually his brother, Taylor, was one of the people that released an NFT on our platform, Opulous. Because one of the big problems we have in the music industry, one of the problems really, is kind of rights management and ownership, and also finance. There's loads of things really, but one of the things we're addressing is how to get your music into your fans with, while keeping value and not using a major label. Because actually, if you look at any kind of the historic articles online about artists and major labels, the relationship has always been really, really bad, because most artists come into the music industry and the record deals are just horrendous. They can be anything from they get like 8% of their royalties back. They sign away all of their copyrights up front. So most of the people that you see online that had a hit, in the 90s, even up to before digital music, don't have any money. So what Opulous on the NFT side is doing, it's been allowing artists to split their actual ownership of the music, sell it to the fans as NFTs. And then that was one of the first things we did a few weeks ago, and we've got some more lined up at the moment. But that's a brief history of me, and I'm sure I'll be able to chat more about it as we go.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for bridging basically these worlds. I think we always saw NFTs as collectibles, and I've seen various projects regarding ownership and how can we basically pay our artists better? How can we pay our creators? How can we incentivize a fan base more? And from what I see, what you've been created, basically, you've done what most stars don't have, is that you've really came from the music industry. You already had a business. You already had users, and you just sort of told them, here, let's upgrade the music industry and let's go this way. How did you go there? How was it an easy switch for your clients, for your users to understand where you were going now, or merging Ditto with more of crypto?
So the thing is, right, when I started Ditto, it was 2007. And believe it or not, the major labels were convinced that CDs were going to beat the internet, which is mental, isn't it, when you look back on it? And there's still reports of people saying, Spotify's not going to work and all this stuff. And to me, I was a new business, and it was like, well, CDs obviously aren't going to work. I got a contract with Spotify, and I just focused on what I thought would be here in 10 years' time. So even though I'm a smaller company than what a major label is, if you focus on, where it's going to be in 10 years, you're actually probably going to get there a lot quicker than they are, because they're stagnated in the model that they've built and they can't change it. And also most of the people at these organizations, and it's the same in blockchain and the banking, they have to be slow to adapt, because you've got a bunch of people on salaries who are actually making money from the older model. When I come into this, because I'm building, from where I am, I'm thinking about what's going to be here in 10 years' time. So we haven't actually really added many Ditto users to the platform yet, but we will be. But I mean, there's no question in anyone's mind that blockchain is going to change what we do, and third parties, even like myself and Ditto, will have to adapt. You either kind of, try and work with technology, or you try and battle against it, which ultimately historically has never worked. So it's quite an easy decision for me.
Are you offering right now all your Ditto artists to launch their own NFT, or to shard their ownerships? How have you? Are you onboarding immediately all your artists, or is it more coming from them, and they're like, hey, Lee, oh my God, I want to do this. My next album has to be an NFT. Like, how are you going about?
So we're launching quite soon as a launch pad, and it's the same as kind of a poker start, or that model where we've taken some very, very big artists that we have lined up, which we can't announce yet, but I mean seriously big artists, and they will be launching an album, but they will take one of those songs from the album and they say, okay, well, I'm going to split 10,000 pieces of this song and say direct to my fan base. And what that does, it means 10,000 people then have ownership of the song, and they're also getting paid from the royalties. Now, to make sure you're not selling something that could be classified by an agency that I'm not going to mention because I don't even want my name attached to it, you have to do certain things to make it not a security when you're getting it. So what this means is those 10,000 people every month actually have to go and promote that music to get rewards from the copyright, which is awesome, because you're selling something to people as a share, and then you've got 10,000 people every month promoting your music. So what we'll see more of is people kind of thinking, well, I don't need a third party like a label to kind of, do all the work for me, when I can just go direct to the fans, which is what we're seeing in the blockchain community. You're seeing less VCs now and more IDO launches. You're seeing more people go straight to the community because they know that they actually do more than VCs. It's going to upset a lot of my investors, but it's just a different model of doing things that we're breaking out. But we're just focusing on bigger artists, and then in a few months' time, we will open it to everybody.
It's really interesting, and I see parallels here between coin artists and yourself and your models, basically regarding fractionalized ownership. So I think for a lot of people, NFTs were just like one big blob of metadata. It was one picture and that was it. And now both of you in different niche communities and genre are basically splitting these NFTs, right? Making them fungible again. So we went from crypto, which was all fungible, to non-fungible, and now we're back to making them fungible and with more characteristics in them, right? Baked into them, like you said, percentages of the royalties, or percentage, which, for example, in the case of CoinVault, that goes back to either the stakers or the coin treasury. I would love for you both, basically, and I'll remove myself a little bit, to discuss this. What is it to basically have these new types of NFTs? I would say this is definitely something new.
Yeah, you can go first. I've talked for a while.
Sure. So with coin, coin, my social token started out as an NFT, and we sharded it into 4 million shards, and then it was airdropped to people who had purchased NFTs in the past. There was some way we could verify on blockchain that participated in our community in a meaningful way. And then we set up a Uniswap in which then people participated if they wanted more. What they did with it to start with was they could stake, and as you mentioned earlier, cred. So you could be a liquidity provider for coin and cred then with these shards, and you would earn more coin and this additional token cred, which is kind of like it's called street cred. It's like your proof of being
It's good.
liquidity
Street
provider.
Smart pun. Smart pun. Smart pun.
So anyways, from there, we set up NFT farms. And these NFT farms took, at the time, this was last summer, by the way, but different cyberpunk. So my video game is a cyberpunk video game. So we leaned into that cyberpunk aesthetic, and there's quite a few in our space, great cyberpunk artists. So we started with our coin currency, started purchasing these different NFTs. Then we sharded them. We set up farms in which people could come stake coin or cred or like a partner token, and then they could start earn shards of the artwork. And from there, people could compete to own the entire NFT, or it became its own. It's basically somewhat of a vault in the sense that people are holding on to these shards until, let's say, the artist has a feature at some point. Takes off, like this year, for example, we had a few of these artists all of a sudden go really big, and then people all of a sudden are trying to compete to own that NFT now because they own, let's say, 10% of the overall shards from their farming activities, which then it executes, and everyone was paid out in ETH when that would happen. They could turn in their shards for ETH. It was really cool to see that model take place, but as Lee kind of touched on, the securities around these sort of activities is like, well, there's two things here. It's the securities, and then also ETH just became unmanageable for NFT and DeFi behaviors right now on mainnet. So we are in the process of moving a lot of these sort of activities over to Polygon, which is where our game actually takes place. So with Polygon, there's things like Slingshot and other DeFi marketplaces taking off. So we'll be experimenting again with these ideas, but it is even though we're community-based and social, we have to be conscious of security regulations. And when you shard something, it does open up kind of a gray area. We've seen things, for example, like charged particles. Charged particles is a project where they take ERC20 tokens and embed them into NFT assets, essentially. So it's like the NFT works like a shell. And you have major platforms like OpenSea who will not allow charged particles to be supported on their platform. So OpenSea is one of the largest peer-to-peer secondary markets where people exchange NFTs, and they won't allow these to be listed because they're not sure what the regulation rules are around them.
I guess that's what happens when you push the boundaries of a concept, right? You suddenly bump into other concepts where you're like, whoa, and I think that's very interesting because from Lee and Harsch's perspective, you both have, you've been building on R3 Corda for Blue Box, and you've been building on Algorand for Opulous. So I think from the get-go, you wanted a permission KYC process for your users, and also as kind of a stable legal regulation background. Am I correct to assume this?
I guess from around there, it's just you can't, as she was just saying, you can't really do a platform where you're splitting NFTs for like a couple of bucks and pay $300 in fees in it, which is crazy at the moment. So Algorand's very cheap, and yeah, we're building on R3 for a backend system, but we're going to see lots of different solutions come through. But it's not feasible at the moment to use Ethereum, man. I mean, we are launching some stuff on Ethereum for some bigger models, but you can't sell cheap NFTs on Ethereum.
All right, Harsch, you also hash all your data onto the Ethereum blockchain, correct?
That's right, currently. And our thinking is the criterion that the artists use isn't really commodity based like a swap in DeFi. They want longevity. And if we had to bet on one chain that'll be here 20 years from now, it'll be Ethereum. That doesn't mean others won't be. It would be the #1 computing platform. I don't know that, but I do know that I have highest conviction that it'll be here. We are, also dealing with these issues, and we're exploring maybe the master validated NFT and the stake claim for longevity on Ethereum, but the collectibles on another EVM compatible chain, for example. But I just want to add something to the legal aspect that was touched on here. So we at Eureka are also exploring fractional ownership, taking licensing streams, splitting it in NFTs. What was talked about is the legal aspect in terms of regulatory compliance, and those are definitely things to consider. What wasn't discussed is enforceability. So as a community, we are enamored with technology, and we think that technology is so difficult. You know what? This stuff's a commodity at this point. The logic is very deterministic. You pick a chain, you pick a token standard, you lay out the logic, you give a developer, you get it audited, you deploy it, and that's why there's over 7,000 crypto projects. It's a commodity. Let's get real about that. But what isn't is expanding the boundaries of the legal system that this will be enforced in. We haven't had case law pushing against use cases like we are exploring right now. And when that does happen, we don't know what will happen. So we at Eureka are engaging the top legal minds in Canada to proactively figure out what legal contracts need to be baked in. How do we reduce friction to onboard users to ensure that this all happens seamlessly? And this is a very important topic for people like us to discuss because it hasn't hit the courts yet. We are speculating that this stuff will all stand up because it's a token. It clearly represents the rights and all that. But at the end of the day, it's not up to us to enforce, it's up to the courts. And that's why we're taking it more methodical, and we are going to roll out these things very soon in terms of fractional ownership of royalty streams and things like that. It's a common use case. We're all exploring it. It's good. It's going to happen. It's going to be good. Important use case for blockchain.
Can you maybe share, because you have these protectors, right? You have one side is your validators on your platform, and the other side is protectors that go and defend these NFTs. Can you talk a bit more, actually, like how far that legal process has gone till now?
So the protectors is a role that after we roll out the validators, we'll onboard and train protectors. Now, protectors are used to proactively find and report infringers, because we'll have a dashboard on our platform where you can send out demand letters and say, here's my package of proof on Eureka, you're infringing. And if not, we can pass that package of proof off to an attorney. You don't have to scramble and get all this stuff. The protectors will do routine checks, because you could use reverse searches and AI and things like that to do automated. But what if you go to a restaurant in a country and it has like the Godfather Cafe? You're not going to find that with technology. Someone needs to report that infringement, and then that infringement can be actioned upon. So there's going to be a human element and technological component to the protection on our platform. And I think both are required for effective enforcement of creative rights.
Interesting. Lee, do you see the the music industry pushing back and saying, no, let's go back to, to big records. Let's go back to how do they see basically you pushing these boundaries in the music industry? And you were mentioning how a lot of artists, the big ones, you mentioned this in a previous interview, not today, but that the big artists cannot innovate because they are stuck within their legal team. They're stuck within, well, what they can and cannot do. And the true innovators might be sort of mid-range artists, which might be more tech savvy as well, or more hungry. How do you see that evolving in the music industry and copyright issues?
The music industry, really, the morality is quite low, and they will go wherever the money is, and that's where it is. So this is one of the first points in history when they're actually going to make more money by doing it this way than they would lose money. And you're actually seeing things like, when I started Ditto, I think the independent market was about 7%, and everything else was on a major label. Now it's like nearly 60%. So 60% of all musicians are actually not on a major label contract, own their masters, own their copyrights, and they're actually in charge of getting the royalties from them. So with that in mind, they're going to be much more inclined to go and try and do things properly. So we're at a pretty good crossroads, actually. It's a really good time to be a musician, because all the control is kind of centered back to you. Because otherwise it would have just, there's as Harsch knows, there's loads of agencies in the music industry that make an absolute fortune just by keeping money and collecting it. I'm in Brazil, and I think it was like 80% of the money doesn't go back to anyone. It just kind of stays in these little pots. They collect it off the radio, they keep it, and then someone might claim it, someone might not claim it, but there's nothing inclining them to go and make sure it's given out to people. So you can't have one person is not going to survive against a million people who are angry and want their money back. So it's definitely a good turning point.
Lee, I just want to jump in there. I just have a quick question for you. what do you think in terms of these major record labels? Do you think there's anything they can do to perhaps innovate to keep artists on their side?
Yeah, it's funny, man, because like I said, I started Ditto, which is a digital distributor. I got an email the first day off a major label saying, like this might work as a Christmas present, but I just want you to know it's never going to work. 10 years later, man, you just got to be patient. 10 years later, Warner copied my whole website. I know because my friend was working there. They had a boardroom. They got my website up. They copied the whole thing. They called it Level. They thought everyone would join it because they're a major label. No one joined, and it went out of business. And that took them 10 years to even get anywhere near it. So they're very, very slow to adapt, man. But fortunately, they don't control things the way they used to control. It's been slipping away for a long time, and now that the people who actually own the music control it, it's set up perfectly.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of just part of the broader picture of this whole industry, isn't it? Whereby we're moving to being self-sovereign, whether it's over your art, your music, your finances. So, I mean, I guess everything's going down this road. So if we've done so well so far. So
it's crazy, right? In 20 years time, if you say to someone, I used to create art and then give it to someone else to own and they pay me back a little bit of money every month, they'll be like, what? But that's the model we've had for 100 years in the music industry ever since it started, it was originally the music industry started it was just a shop in America somewhere selling stereos, and they were trying to work out how to sell these stereos, and they went down to a studio and got them to record some sheet music, and that was the whole thing. That's where the whole music industry developed from, and it was all built over owning someone's art, which is crazy because if someone makes some piece of music, they should own it. And that's why, you know, Chance the Rapper's done so well, because he's always been very adamant about owning his masters. So it's not just the music industry, you know, as we'll see, the move we move towards is going to be just much better for everybody.
I'm just seeing a question coming in for Lee, actually. How are you planning for decentralized inheritance of NFTs? I'm not sure. There it is, from Nebula Metrics.
Maybe Harsch could answer that. God, I don't quite understand it. He's more intelligent than me.
The decentralized inheritance. Okay, so I guess what they're talking about is next of kin. So if someone, you know, if someone has an NFT, and this is exactly going back to what I'm talking about. What contract, legal contract within our legal system is baked into the NFT or associated and conveys with the NFT? These are important issues to discuss, and this is exactly where we're engaging the top legal minds in the space to proactively. This is it's a great question. I haven't been asked that before, and it is important to cover that in the NFTs we design, sell, so it's clear. Because without clarity, when it does get to court, we don't know what's going to happen as a group.
In your case for Eureka, would those smart contracts basically, would that base be baked in from the get-go, or would it depend basically on where I've issued my NFT? So would the platform sort of act as sort of a legal base for any NFT that is coming out of Eureka, or would it be specific to each NFT that you would be minting?
So what we do is I'll give you one example with BK the artist, for example. A couple of weekends ago we launched our first responsibly minted NFT. So we validated his work. We created a package of proof for that piece of art that said who created it, who owns it, is it original. We showed all our proof, sworn affidavit, all that stuff. Then we minted collectibles. And each of those collectibles had terms associated with it, NFT utility terms. Those are transparent, those are hashed and on chain. So when it does convey, whoever has it, you know, we're building it out now. Within a couple of weeks, we should have an NFT authenticator that'll show you not only the package of proof, but also what legal terms were conveyed with the NFT. And this is our attempt at it. And we're all as a group going to learn, and we're all going to get better at it. But I think we all need to think about the legal aspects of what we're putting out in terms of NFTs, because they haven't been challenged in court yet.
I think we have a special announcement from Layah. Please go ahead.
Yes. So as I said, guys, at the beginning, there are 2 giveaways, and I want to announce one of the winners. So a big congrats to Dylan Lee _78. You have just won $75 of each, which is great.
Yeah, that's great.
Love that.
It's down.
I love that energy.
That'll be worth loads of money in 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is like the perfect time.
And this is not financial.
It's not financial advice.
It's not financial advice. If you wanna, yeah, there you go. If you wanna, yeah, it's not financial advice. But well done, Dylan.
Man,
and there's one more.
Well done, Dylan. And he's from the Opulous Telegram group as well. So come on.
He's from the Opulous group.
Yeah, man. What a guy.
Amazing.
So also, guys, there is just one more giveaway. So don't forget to hit the like button, retweet the live stream, comment hashtag IPC. You can win $75 of ETH while it's down. Pretty awesome. All right, Eleonore, kick it off.
Yeah, I guess we were kind of going down a legal rabbit hole here, and yeah. I want to. I think it's a really interesting topic because we're talking about the futures of NFTs here, and from what I see, 2 out of our 3 guests here, you're using NFTs plus copyrights. A lot of NFTs today are being sold, exchanged with no copyrights linked to them. Some artists are a bit iffy about their own content being used and sold without their permission. But at the same time, we are in a permissionless industry, right? Where sometimes the question of legality and enforceability of the law is not something we expect. Anybody that's currently purchasing an NFT and would have, questions about it and would like to enforce it. Harsch, you've mentioned that we haven't gone through that case yet. It's true. There's no real tension. There's no connection yet to the real world, and it would be really difficult right now to make a legal claim. I don't know. How do you see this evolving, basically, from all your different perspectives, from the gaming industry, the music industry, and overall any creators out there? What are we going to see in the future?
I think we're going to see more transparency, and all projects like ours are going to make it very clear what conveys with those NFTs, and eventually it'll be tested in courts, and we'll get more legal clarity. And as a group, we will conform to that framework that we're provided. And I think this is necessary. Some people like us need to go in uncharted territory and push the boundaries, and eventually it'll get tested, and we'll get a framework, and we'll be the early ones to adopt it and get it used so that we can, like Lee intends to do at Opulous, put more money in the artists' pockets. That's ultimately what we want to do, or what we want to help facilitate.
Marguerite, maybe could you bring also your perspective to NFTs with or without copyrights, and how do you see this evolving for the coin community as well?
Well, so primarily when I think about copyrights, I think about Blockade Games, which is my game company, and we have art where the game company has the IP rights to. And just because we create a token-backed game asset that within our game universe has an aesthetic attached to it, doesn't mean that that aesthetic, for example, can be used across other platforms or games. There's a lot of artists today, when they sell an art piece, it doesn't give them it doesn't give any rights to the art. People are actually just buying essentially a digital print that the artist is producing. And so when I think about the ability for us to create special IP and brands are really powerful. And when you create a powerful brand, then the company itself has the ability to license out those rights. And it's important, I think, to be able to capitalize on that monetization for the viability of the brand. If the brand does really well, then everyone who's participating is going to do well, too. So if you take away those monetization paths and you, let's say, because I think there's some pushback where, well, I bought this art, therefore I own the rights to it. And it's going to kind of, I wouldn't say dilute the power of the brand, but you're going to see it used in ways that wasn't intended by the originator. And that could actually be a different, it wouldn't be adding value essentially to let's say this was a big conversation with CryptoKitties back in the day when they made the NFT, when they were coming out with an NFT license, was what if someone takes a CryptoKitty and uses it in a way that is let's say in pornography in some sort of way. How can we have the ability to retract that and go after them and prove that this is our IP and they didn't have the right to do that, because that is hurting their brand overall, in their opinion. So there's things like that to think about, and I think it's important. I don't think just because we have a new technology means that we're going to throw away all these proven things that we've established across the industry about things that are valuable and meaningful.
Marguerite, just on a side note, I know you had that whole issue when it came to I think, was it copyright? Was that the issue with coin?
Yeah.
And you were threatened to change it. So can you speak to that a bit and how, I guess, you were able to tackle that?
Sure. So this is a funny story. It's
Insane.
coin, hashtag coin. So I picked hashtag coin when we launched our social currency for coin. The name of the token is coin artist, and then the ticker is coin, which then when you talk about it is hashtag coin on social media, because that's how you can find stocks and different tokens on social media. So back in December, I received a threatening letter that said, we have trademarked coin and you're not allowed to use it, and therefore you're infringing on our mark. To which, I could have been like, fine, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm just going to go and let's do a token swap. But in reality, like, I've been in this space for a long time, and now you're leaning into my kind of Bitcoin ethos of, you don't own coin and you're ridiculous, and I'm going to just go ahead and fight this. So we then we filed a petition to cancel their mark at that point. Well, first of all, I can't believe the trademark office even gave them this trademark. It's obvious. It's obvious. Like, when we talk about these legal cases that we're going to be seeing in the future, it's obvious that the trademark office had no idea what they were doing, because, and it actually, they had filed a few different times and had failed. And in this case, the one that they had passed was because they were making an argument that, no, hashtag coin is not for our token, it's for our exchange. But then they go and they're not really using it just for their exchange. They're using it for their token. And so they're going after, then they went after lots of people, not just me. I was the only one that fought back, actually. Okay. They went after lots and lots because coin is a very common word, and ticker coin. And so anyone can deploy an ERC20 token called coin today. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. And because I think I have a large social presence, they really definitely went after me because they were trying to launch this new, they were basically doing a token swap and relaunching their project. They did a huge rebranding. They previously had been called other names before. Anyways, so anyways, people that get trademark trolled, it's actually, it's really expensive to fight, especially if something has made it through the trademark office. And I hadn't ever seen this firsthand, but it, like, as an artist in this space, you have to be careful, I guess. You have to trademark and you have to be aware, because the repercussions of not doing that, for example, in this case, is very expensive. So yeah, we fought back, and the community rallied behind us, and now it has, the trademark office has looked into it, and I think the last status of it was in the process of being canceled.
Oh, wow. No, I think you did an amazing job. It was so incredible to see, people who were even against NFTs. I know this isn't directly, NFTs, but just the entire space from that standpoint that you were saying, because you were saying, you've been in space a long time. They were just against this as, the pure principle and the ethos of it. And I thought that was incredible when I saw that.
Well, so this is what the people maybe don't understand, is if you think about an apple, right? So people are saying, well, you can take the word apple and it, Mac trademarked the word apple. That's not how it works. If you have an apple and you try to trademark apple for an apple, you cannot do that. That's just like that. And then anyone that uses an apple and calls it an apple is now infringing on your mark. One, you have to create something original. Creating the word coin is not original. The hashtag is not original. You put two original things together does not make it original. And when you're talking about a token or a coin in regard to the actual word, you can't. So yeah, it was a very interesting educational path for me.
I can only imagine that we're going to see more and more of these cases, right? So in your case, maybe it was, you were lucky for, not lucky, but there was two things. One, you had a massive community and rally to support your cause, because there are still a lot of, I guess, value-driven communities like yours and the larger space of crypto as well. And then you were lucky in the sense that you had a general term, right? That this was not, so that you hadn't spent, obviously you've built a brand around it, you built an identity around this, but you were lucky that maybe you could brush away the threat because their claim was not founded? Well,
to be clear, it wasn't just brush away. I mean, we spent to this date over $50,000. Just even responding to a letter is about $10,000. So unless you're have legal background yourself and this is something you can do. Yeah, so like it's even if it's something obvious and basic, it's expensive. So trademark trolls suck, and everybody should shun them.
Okay. Call for anybody listening to this show. And Harsch, on the other side, I see that you're patenting your platform. Is this to protect yourself in the future for this type of situation?
Well, everything we do is to create value for our token holders, our shareholders, or broader community. And so filing patents to cover the validation process is something as a board we felt was prudent. And again, it's all towards creating value, which I think as we talk about more about the future of NFTs will evolve to include less speculative value and more quantifiable value. And again, at the end of the day, 1,000 years from ago, when you sold something to a customer, they made a purchase based on how much value. 1,000 years from now, it'll be the same. We're living in a unique period of time where people are enamored with tokenizing art and video clips, and it has a lot of speculative value. And over time, the NFTs will evolve to where there's less speculative value, but there's still some, and there's quantifiable value. What do I get here? I get a T-shirt that's signed. I get a Zoom experience with someone I admire. I get some downloadable content. And to me, that is worth X dollars. Oh, and by the way, I get this collectible art that I think is worth this. And who knows, maybe that's an epic event that becomes has a cult following, and you get the optionality of the speculative value. And that's where I see NFTs eventually getting to. And that's where we at Eureka really focus on our marketplace, on finding valuable content that provides more to the artists than they would have got outside of NFTs, and yet enough quantifiable value for the buyers that they don't feel, if the price doesn't go to $1 million, like they wasted their money or they got duped or something like that.
It's so interesting because right now we have, for creators listening to this show maybe and wondering where they should mint their NFTs, how can they get involved, right? There's so many ways to do it. You can choose your own blockchain, do it yourself, mint it yourself, or go through a third-party provider, maybe launch it through, Blue Box or Opulous or UREEQA. What would your advice be right now to new artists that are looking into the world of NFTs, and how would you go from there?
Well, I think that anyone can go on OpenSea, mint for a couple percent, and do it themselves. And they have smart contracts that do that, right? So first of all, you have choice. Everyone has choice. Now, why would you come to a place like Eureka? Well, we also protect it. So we provide this package of proof that, when you actually sell it, your buyers know that they're buying the original BK, the artist, not artiste, that someone can copy and mint it. So it's responsibly minted. Not only that, on-chain, the utility terms are included. And something we haven't spoken about yet is NFTs are starting to be bundled with redeemable content. So you can't get a T-shirt, you can't get a Zoom experience, right? Now, the NFT has different value prior to redemption than after redemption. Because if I buy the NFT, I get the T-shirt, I get the Zoom experience. Now I have some collectible art from that campaign. That is definitely worth less than before it was redeemed. So these are other things that our platform covers. And that's, I think, the essence of why someone would choose to come on Eureka, which is more expensive than minting on yourself OpenSea. So if you are sophisticated enough, and if your followers are sophisticated enough, and you think you could keep them safe, and you want to somehow give them legal terms, that is a totally viable option. But for groups that need help crafting appropriate NFT strategies, protecting their work on-chain, building a robust package of proof, responsibly minting, NFT terms, redemption center, that's where, I think it would make sense to come to Eureka. Likewise, Lee and Marguerite, they have value props on their platforms. As a group, this space is huge, and consumers and brands and celebrities and emerging artists have choice. Just like anything else, like banking's fragmented, NFTs will be fragmented too. And people will have choice of where they go. And for certain people, Eureka might make sense. For other people, Opulous might make more sense. And the space is going to be, it's big, and it's going to be growing at such a clip that there'll be room for a lot of companies to do well in this space.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you all three here because it's unique also to be able to discuss this from different perspective, I think, and to still, we're all still here for the same game, right? To give more value for creators, give more to not only the creators, but engage more with their fan base, allow the fan base to be part of this experience in such an early stage and in such an innovative, cool way. Layah, I want to just go back to your artist and your, that side of the market. Basically, we see more and more mainstream artists playing around with the idea of launching NFTs. What's holding back basically right now? What we've talked about legality, maybe the size of the fan base, but how do you see it growing right now? And you're muted. Layah, you're muted, so you have to unmute yourself.
That's good.
There
Because I was just swearing my head off then, so I'm glad that was good. So I think we're obviously in a bull market at the moment, and we're in a massive speculative area where everything's just going up. So everyone's kind of, I know from my aspect of the phone calls I'm getting and the people that want to get involved in this, a lot of people are getting involved for the wrong reasons, just because they think they can suddenly put an NFT out, make $1 million, and then do the least as possible. So I would say, if you're coming into this space, if you look at anything in the music industry, from MySpace to even stuff like Napster, the early adopters made bank because they were the first ones to do it, and they came up with a really creative idea, and they became really successful. And the later adopters came in trying to follow them, and they weren't very successful. I would learn as much as I can about the space. I would try and predict where it's going to be over the next few years, and then I would try to do something really, really creative and interesting that is going to set yourself apart from everybody else coming out, because there's a lot of labs happening at the moment. Thank you. I'll cook. Fruit plate. That's what it's like. It's a bull run.
Oh, what you have? Wait, what is it?
It's just a fruit plate. But Lincoln, say hello. Show him your Opulous thing. He's got an Opulous uniform on. So cool. He loves it. Hey,
Stylish.
come on.
Yeah.
Bull market 2021.
Ditto Opulous.
Get
Nice merch.
I don't know what the
does that come with the token? It's weird.
You can buy the NFT. You buy the NFT of that. I'll send Lincoln out. He's an amazing chef. What we talking
Harsch
about?
was talking about redeemables right now. Is that T-shirt redeemable with an NFT, or is that just a pure merch item?
Do you know what? I'm learning Portuguese, and they don't speak English, so I don't know. We're still kind of having troubles with the communication, but I'll try and find out. So my advice to anyone getting into the space: look at the things people are doing really well. Try and predict where it's going to be soon. Do as much research as you can, and then launch something interesting that people are going to talk about, rather than just kind of coming in and trying to make money, because it's all going to finish at some point. At the moment, we're seeing people launch an NFT and it makes $1 million, but that's really slowly going to drift off. And then we have the question of what the value is. And it's me and Harsch was saying, before it's going to be less speculative and more around how much money it's actually going to start making long term. So that's why I'm so focused on something that pays people back and splits ownership and all those kind of things that I think are the future of NFTs. But cryptocurrency needs a narrative every 3 months. We had DeFi, and now it's latching onto NFTs, man. So make the most of it while you can, but also be very wary of where it's going to be soon.
Yeah, thanks for
smash this fruit plate.
Smash the fruit plate. Just for those who don't know, so Opulous is basically a platform for investors and creators that basically has split copyright NFTs, which allows you as well to take out DeFi loans, but based as well on your catalog. So as an artist, like if you would just go straight up to a bank and ask for a loan, they might not take the holistic approach to the artist, everything you're streaming and your catalog and everything, whereas with Opulous you can. So it's NFT, DeFi, and a bit more.
It's a problem with the asset situation, because a major labels work on market share. So the more content they have, the more money they get off the banks. But if you're a creator with content, and I've got people on my books who are earning hundreds of thousands every month. And if they go, and they've been doing that for 10 years because of Spotify and iTunes, and then they go into a bank, and the bank's like, well, I don't recognize that as an asset. So how we value assets and how we prove we own an asset that is earning money is all going to change. And that's why we need NFTs, and that's why we need proof of ownership.
Lee, I have a question. I have a quick question for you. So actually, this is from our previous winner. He said, I have collected vinyls in the past. One of the latest I collected was a Travis Scott collab with the artist Cause. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I'm really not into music and stuff. Well, I'm into old music, not like modern day music. Anyway, so he asked, could you guys see mainstream artists collabing with famous artists in the form of NFTs?
100%. Once the mainstream work out how much money there is in this, they're all going to want to get in. At the moment, they're just kind of like, well, I saw the Kings of Leon do something for $1 million and I want to do that, but they don't really know what they're doing. Once you'll see Blazers come in, we're all going to do it because, as he was saying, he bought that and he wants it, and it's a great thing to own. So as an artist, we're able to give an even better than we are right now. So there's a market for it, and it's going to happen.
And also, I'm going to just announce the last final winner. I'm really sorry if I'm ruining your name, but it's Eleonore. That's at ELIORIM. Well done. You have just won $75 of ETH. So there you go.
$75 in fees to send that, I think. How much is it going to cost you?
I'm telling you on this. Lee, stop it. We will figure out a way around that. Right. Eleonore, back to you.
Well, I think this is I think I want to wrap up this conversation already. We had now our 2 winners. We've discussed several aspects of the industry, and all 3 of you are going to be part of the future of NFTs. All 3 of your platforms are going to be having trials and errors. I would like to invite each of you to just give a last few words about where do you see the future of NFTs in your case.
Sure. So I actually have a really big announcement coming up on the 19th at 10 a.m. And I will be actually announcing what will demonstrate on my side. I'm putting together a whole bunch of things I've done across the years into a big drop on a big platform that myself and a bunch of very creative individuals have been working on for the past month and a half. And it will demonstrate some of these ideas that I think are like ready right now for creators to start thinking, broadening a little bit beyond uploading a file. And also, those comments about costs and how can we leverage existing ways to offset costs for user participation and experience. So I'm really looking forward to this announcement and drop that's upcoming.
So follow @CoinArtist on Twitter. All her socials are out there. Let's see. We have 48 hours until your announcement. So thank you. Congrats. Thank you for sharing.
I've got to drop off at 12 because I've got a call. So if I could say a quick goodbye, that'd be amazing. And I'll leave you guys to it. I think NFTs are all governed by community. So I just want to thank my own community, all the people in the Opulous Telegram and everyone who's been supporting us. Because that's where it's going to go. And NFTs are bringing ownership back to people, and it's taking out people that we don't need. So that's why I'm so excited about it. Thank you for everyone tuning in today. Thank you for the guy with the fruit plate and everything. And my Twitter is just CEO Parsons on Twitter, and it's been an amazing discussion. So thank you for having me involved.
Thank you, Lee.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Harsch, your turn. What are your last comments about the future of NFTs?
I think just to recap about the speculative versus quantifiable value, I think it'll go from like 90% speculative, 10% quantifiable to eventually, could take years, 10% speculative, 90% quantifiable. And at Eureka, we're about to launch a marketplace that's going to include a redemption center where you can get quantifiable value like downloadable content, physical items, experiential, maybe it gives you special perks. So that's coming soon. Something we didn't mention on here, another, again, future of NFTs. People don't realize that NFTs can be dynamic. So imagine this, you're a movie studio, you own Star Trek, you sell a limited edition NFT of a first-gen poster. Those people obviously like sci-fi movies. Prior to your next launch, you swap the NFT for a trailer for the upcoming sci-fi movie. So the people who are predisposed to going to it actually see it first. It swaps back. These are some of the use cases we're exploring with some of the companies we're talking to, and it's exciting. We have an advisor that we're going to announce. We have a stacked advisory board. This one is going to, floor people when you see the next advisor that's coming on. Marketplace launching soon, end of this month. We're going to have clients on board in July. You'll see, actors who've been in top movie productions, and it's going to get exciting. So follow us on Twitter at Eureka_Inc., on Telegram at Eureka. I'm at Eureka_CEO on Twitter, and we look forward to seeing you in the channel.
Yay! I see that Harsch and Lee and yourself, you both have CEO in your Twitter, so you can never change your title. Do you realize that you're linked to your Twitter handle?
Well, maybe like that NFT with inheritance. Maybe there's inheritance in the Twitter handlers, right? So
I see. Yeah. So as you guys can see, thank you everybody for joining today. NFTs are hot, will continue to be hot. There's so much to evolve, and we will see different types of NFTs. They might go back to being fungible. They might not be non-fungible anymore. There's so many other aspects. Thank you so much, Marguerite and Harsch and Lee, Layah, the whole IPC community for making this all happen. Thank you for joining the stream.
Thanks, everyone.
Layah, you're muted.
Thank you. I want to just thank you guys so much. Eleonore, you did a great job as always. I also want to thank the IPC community for putting this on, and Harsch and Marguerite for joining. We will do more of these, so definitely keep your eyes out. But for now, that's all. Bye, guys.
Bye.